Hey, what's going on everybody? Alex with you here again as usual. Thank you for dropping by for yet another chess video. I'm super excited about this particular video because in this video we're going to be taking a first look, at least on my channel, a first look at the Chessnut EVO brought to us by the same company that has brought the Chessnut Air over a year ago, the Chessnut Pro relatively recently. In fact, this particular product kind of came out of nowhere and very abruptly. I received an email from the Chessnut company saying that they're going to be unveiling the Chessnut EVO, and they sent me the details, and that really was just like right after the release of the Chessnut Pro, so I really didn't expect something new that quickly. I've been well aware that the Chessnut is making really good products, and I've tested both of the Chessnut Air and the Chessnut Pro, and I was very excited when I received the email about the Chessnut EVO. And as I was reading like the evaluation and looking at the pictures, I thought to myself, this is Chessnut really taking it into a whole new direction. The Chessnut company is really listening to the feedback that it's receiving from the chess players and really trying to bring something new to the table as opposed to just sort of replicating the same stuff that other people are doing. When I initially looked at the promo videos and everything, without having the actual board, I thought to myself, okay, so Chessnut is unveiling the Chessnut EVO. It looks like it's an electronic chess board about the same size, more or less, than like the Chessnut Air. And then on the side, it has a nicely fixated tablet, sort of like an iPad or some kind of an Android tablet. And I thought to myself, okay, so we're sort of eliminating the need to have a cell phone and kind of having one altogether product, but what are we getting more out of it? And that's basically what I'm going to show you guys in this particular video, how much more you're going to be getting out of this particular product than what maybe you're expecting to get. This video is going to contain a lot of very interesting and important information, so be sure to stay tuned and watch this video to the end. I'm going to start off by saying that as of now, this particular product here that I'm going to be showing you guys is a pre-production model. So Chessnut actually has sent me this board to show you guys and share with you. But it's actually the board that they've been testing things out on. So it's, like I said, it's a pre-production model, and some of the things perhaps may change. Some things might be modified. And some things might be improved when they're going to finally release it mainstream, I think sometime in September or October. As of now, I believe you can secure your board on Kickstarter, where you're likely to pay a substantially lower price than you're going to pay for it once it's released mainstream. So if you have an inclination to purchase this board, probably now is going to be a better time to consider purchasing this board, because right now I believe it's going to be like $549 or $599, and then when it comes out, at least at the time when it comes out for sale, I think it's going to be like $799, so close to $800. I'm going to start off by mentioning some of the superficial physical characteristics of the board that you guys might find interesting, and then I'm going to slowly descend and we're going to dive into the AI and kind of talk to you guys about what I found to be interesting, different, and what I like and what I dislike about the board. So the very first thing that I want to mention is the underside of the board is going to be like a flat surface, sort of similar to what we've seen with the Chessnut Air. This Chessnut Air, in my opinion, is a really great product because the way that it's made and the way that they put the attention to detail with like having real nice wood and everything, it really goes to show you that like even now the Chessnut Air is just a supreme product altogether. But on the back side of the Chessnut Air here, we see that it's just sort of a flat surface with these little legs here. It's going to be similar with the Chessnut EVO. We're going to have a flat surface. I did read in their email that I think it was going to be wood, but the underside of the Chessnut EVO as of now is just a flat surface similar to this gray plastic. When this becomes available mainstream, they're going to have a compartment which will allow you to, down the road, exchange your battery. So when I read that initially in the email, I thought, well, that's really cool because, you know, most of the products nowadays, like cell phones and everything, they all have a battery, but the battery eventually runs out, and then once the battery runs out, if you cannot replace the battery, same with like newer laptops and everything, if you can't replace the battery, then you're stuck with a product that you can no longer utilize with the battery, so you always have to have it plugged in. In this case, they're looking forward, they're looking ahead. And when I read that you will be able to exchange the battery later on, I thought to myself, they're really wanting this product to last you for decades if they're gonna give you the option to replace the battery. Okay, right over here on the side, we have a relatively simplistic interface. As you guys can see, we have this big square button right over here, and that turns on the board. You don't have to hold it, you just press it once. It's got a nice click to it. Press it again and the board turns off, or at least goes into like a sleep mode. If you hold it, it will bring up a side option to where you can restart or turn off your board. These two buttons up here is your volume up and down. It doesn't indicate specifically here that that's what they do, so there's a chance that in the mainstream model these might also serve as additional like knobs for configuration of certain options, or might allow you to do like scroll or something. I'm not really sure at this time, but as of now, the up and down volume buttons, but you can also configure the volume inside the interface because you do get the touch screen. Get this little, I don't know what this is, but there's like a little tiny round thing, might be an indicator of some sort, and then you have just a regular USB-C port here, and as of now it is charging, so we get that sort of subtle red light here. A little closer view of the Chessnut EVO. In size comparison, it has about the same size squares if we compare it like side by side to the Chessnut Air. The squares are about the same size. One of the things that you will notice, however, is that at least in this particular model of the Chessnut EVO, we are not getting notation. And I will shortly here describe to you why that's the case and why I feel like that's the right decision to do, is not to include notation. Because as you guys will be surprised, you can switch the pieces to either side of the board and it will actually recognize, like right now I have the light pieces set on this side, the dark pieces set on that side. If for some reason I want to turn the board around in a sense that I want to take these pieces and put them on the other side, it immediately recognizes that I'm switching the pieces, and then there's really no issues. On the side here, we have this really nicely beveled screen. If we press the on button, and I will bring my camera here closer so we can have a top-down view, but for the time being, it's a really nice screen that is very responsive. It works really well. It's run by Android, and it's really nice. You can adjust the brightness and the volume in the options, but like I said, I'll show you guys here these details shortly. In this pre-production model too, you just get the screen here, but in the actual mainstream model, you will get an anti-fingerprint coating on top of the screen. That is something really cool. However, I've been testing this model extensively, and although if you look at the screen as it with any touchscreen device, you might see there's a little bit of fingerprints, because I don't know, my fingers produce a lot of oil, and so I will take a soft cloth and I'll just wipe it. But when you're actually playing the games, and if you're not actually looking at the reflection of the window, you really don't see any fingerprints whatsoever. The pieces here are going to be these sort of plastic, but they're really shiny and really smooth. I like them actually quite a bit more than the Chessnut Air pieces, although they are about the same size. The color, as we see here, is just sort of a shiny dark and a shiny light color. And I have to say that it does go well with this particular board. They could have used the traditional Chessnut Air color, which you can utilize the Chessnut Air pieces on this. I've already tried, and without any trouble it recognizes them, so I'm assuming it utilizes the same sensors inside. But I tried setting up the Chessnut Air pieces on this board, and I feel like the pieces that are provided actually look better. Okay, you have this little area right over here. That's where the speaker is hidden underneath there. The speaker is nice and provides ample sound. There's I really didn't have to put the speaker to really loud. I put it to like about 25%, and that was enough for me. And then you have this little knob. I'm assuming it could be a microphone, but I'm not really sure. So as far as the rest of the physical characteristics, this board is actually, weight-wise, is not that much heavier than the Chessnut Air. I would probably say maybe just a little bit heavier, but for the most part, it's light enough for you to not really feel too over encumbered with it. That's a good thing from an ergonomic standpoint, because you can pick up the board and you can take it to another room. You don't have to feel like, oh man, this board is so heavy. And one of the really nice things that I'll show you guys here in just a second too is that one of the ways that I've been playing with this board is I would just set it on my lap and I would play that way, because you have the screen attached here. It works out really well because you don't have to have like a cell phone or something propped up somewhere while you're sitting. So I like to be reclined somewhere on like a sofa, and I'll just take this whole board, and it works well, like I said, because I don't need to have a cell phone. In comparison to the design of the Chessnut Air, because this is the Chessnut Air right over here. The Chessnut Air squares are about the same size. The overall paneling here is a little bit different, as you guys can see that they utilize the wooden panel, but we've already seen this product before. And the LED indicators on this board are actually in these little tiny knobs, as we've seen in my previous review video. So when there is an indication for a piece to move from one square to another, those particular little LED indicators will light up in these little circles on the sides. So it is a little bit different on the Chessnut EVO, as we will see shortly here. The indicators, actually kind of this LED lights will light up in the entire periphery of each one of the squares. It kind of makes it really cool because that way it is a lot more visible. I do notice that with the Chessnut Air here, on a bright light day, sometimes when I would be playing, especially if like a square is here, but a piece is sort of semi-concealing at a particular angle, might be concealing the little knob away from me to where I don't necessarily see it at a particular angle, then it might take me a second to kind of be like, okay, where's the LED indicator? Which piece are we moving? Like I said, that only happens when you have a lot of pieces on the board. Sometimes one of the chess pieces might conceal the little LED light, but in this case here, because the LED lights will be on the periphery of the entire square from start to finish, then we're not really going to have a problem with not seeing, for any particular reason, where the pieces should go. Okay, here we are, and if we press the button on and off, you can see that the computer works really fast. Very quick response rate. This is going to be a whole new sort of product as opposed to the Chessnut Air or any of the other electronic boards, because like I said, initially my thought process was, okay, you have this tablet computer that is sort of synced to this board. That's all fine and dandy, but it's a lot more than that, and we'll hopefully see here in just a second as I'll go through some of the options here. My board is currently, I'm charging this board, we're at 24%, and okay, so let me just go ahead and start off. You have this interface right over here. In the top here, we have this picture that says Chessnut EVO. I don't think at this time there's anything that you can particularly do with the picture, but it's pretty cool to look at. And you got this little chestnut emblem right over here. If we click at the very top over here, we do get this small drop-down menu. Like I said, most of the options here, if it's a pre-production model, we're just sort of looking at the way that things are situated and kind of looking at where things might end up being, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's where they're going to end up. This part over here shows us that you can upgrade your board, firmware updates and everything. Then you have the Wi-Fi, you find your Wi-Fi, and then you have airplane mode. We might end up seeing more options here, but as of right now, that's all we get at the top. By the way, it is running Android. I'm not really sure what subcategory of Android, because they do have different systems, but it is running Android. And I found that although Android tablets is something that I may not necessarily fully agree with, because I felt like there was always a little bit of delay in them, in this particular case, because it's an Android specifically designed for this board, everything's working really, really fast. And that's what I really like. There's just so much potential in this board, and it's so great to see that there's this sort of integration that we see between the chessboard and the computer. Let's start off over here on the bottom and kind of move up, and I'm going to talk about all the different options. Right over here we see it says chess clock. Now that particular option is in a situation where I want to play with somebody in the same room, for example. let's say my friend Larry comes over and he says, let's play a game, and I want to play a game here on this board so that I can record it and then maybe analyze it later. We have a couple of different things. We can play standard chess, chess 960, or we can do board editor. When we get this drop down board editor option, we can actually put the pieces wherever we want to put them. As you guys can see, this screen right over here shows us immediately that we have really, really quick and seamless, like you don't have to wait around. I mean, look at this. Hopefully you guys are able to see the screen. I mean, how quick is that? I mean, we have no delays. Everything's working pretty fast. And that's one of the really nice things about this board that I've noticed from the start, is everything sort of, it works quick, and it's just, I like it. Anyways, if you wanted to play in the same room against somebody, let's say a friend comes over and he says, hey man, do you want to continue playing from that one position so we can finish our game? I can go ahead and set up that position, and then we can go from there, okay? Now, let's say you want to just play a regular game. You can do standard, for example, and then this is the type of clock that you want to do. You can do move made clock, which is a clock that will switch between opponents when you just make the move. Or you can do a standard type of clock, which is clock tapped, which I'll show you guys here in a minute, that you will actually tap the screen here, kind of a similar way that we've seen with the regular clock, just for some people who like that option. You can do with sound, without sound, allow take back, so you can configure all these, and then you can do time control here. I'm going to start off by showing you guys the move made option. So the way that it works is that, let's say we're ready to start the game, and we are ready. Now this particular one where I didn't set the time interval, but if I go back, quit without saving, and I do 10 minute, for example, or 5 minute, whatever time interval you want. Yeah, let's say I do 10 minutes, okay, and then I click, and this particular option would be like this, so that you just play a regular game and it shows you how much time you have. You can have the on off, sort of like if I do, for example, the option of speaking,
G1, F3,
and we'll have that option.
8, C6, F1, B5.
But if you don't necessarily want that to talk to us, we can go back to options right directly in the game right here, and you can turn the sound off or on. You can also turn off the indicators, the LED indicators, that if you don't want them. You can allow for take back if you want to. And here, between move made and clock tapped, if I click on clock tapped, so it's the opponent's move, for example, here, right? So the way that it'll work is that the move won't show up until he actually taps his clock. So that would be kind of similar to how we've had it before, sort of the analog way of doing it. When I tap the clock, then I'll actually... but given that this is an electronic board and everything works pretty seamlessly, and you might forget to press your button or whatever, you know, then it might be actually simpler. But it just depends on what people are used to. But in this particular way, you know, it just goes by itself. See? You get a really nice screen here. You get really nice indicators right over here for the time. So everything works really well. But like I said, this very quit without saving, this very first screen where we've seen at the very bottom for the chess clock, that's basically how it works. Okay, more or less for when you're playing somebody in real life in the same room. Be sure to stay tuned because we're going to get to some really exciting options here. We got this game record. We have all the records that I've played recently. And I believe that as you gain these records of your games, you will later on be able to analyze them. And I'm not really sure at this time with the pre-production model what you can do with them, but I'm pretty sure you're going to have some options as far as exporting them or doing something with them. So that's going to be really cool to see what they're going to come up with. They have this career mode that's directly with the Chessnut. I'm not sure if you can start off at a certain level. I'm pretty sure you can. But I started off with the very lowest, which was level 0, and I've been sort of playing these games. I played, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 games already on this, and just sort of taking the ELO all the way to where I need to take it. But that's just how it works. You get a little profile that you can create for yourself or your family member or whoever. And in this case, like right over here, I created 2 profiles, one for me, one for my wife. And you can switch between the profiles, for example, here. you can start playing. Now, when you start playing these games here, you're playing against the AI here, and you know, you'll start off at ELO of 600, and you can kind of move on to further and further sort of progress your profile. So that is really cool. Another option, you can create more profiles, so you can have the option of creating. So if you have a whole family that want to have their individual profiles and sort of play against the you play against Stockfish in this particular case, you have that option, and I find that really cool because it actually gives you this levels and stuff. So I'm at level 3, so that's kind of cool. That's the career mode. They might expand on that, but as of now, that's what we're seeing. This is the coolest option in this whole board, and so pay attention to this. You have these different chess engines that you can actually upload, and as the company develops more and more different chess engines, we're going to be able to see with more updates that we're going to have more different chess engines. But it's really cool because you have the option of downloading any of these chess engines, like download this one, for example, and it'll just download it, and it'll put it into the system. So it's the T60 Elite Chess Engine, okay? So when we get out, you have this option of playing with the bot. I'm kind of skipping around, but if you go right over here and you go to we see the T60 Elite Chess Engine right over here, so we can play against that one. Or if you download any of the other engines, you can bring them in here and play against them. So you like the other chess boards from Chessnut, you could play against Stockfish as with the bot, but here you got a lot of different chess engines, and we're gonna see more and more. You have this chess engine called Maya, which is gonna be more of like lifelike chess engine. And then the ELO for Maya, for example, as we see here, is between 1100 to 1900. So there's only a range here. But when you go to Stockfish, you have a substantially greater range of ELO. I think it measures from 600, and the highest is 2850 for Stockfish. So that is an option that basically, like I said, the chess engines, you can download these different chess engines and you can directly put them into playing against the bot. And that way you can have more than one chess engine to play with. That is really cool. You can also have custom chess engines that you can create. And that's where I'm going to kind of get to here in just a second. There's an option here to train a chess engine. This is one of the most innovative and cool things that I found about this board. You will have the ability to train a chess engine. Let me give you a practical example about this, okay? I used to have a friend, well, I still do, and he moved to Europe, Dennis. Dennis is really the person that kind of inspired me to take up chess in the first place. His playing style was very defensive, and he always used to tell me that when we would play, he would always win, like pretty much always. And he would say, I will keep my game very closed, and then you will make one little mistake, and then I'll take one of your pawns, and we'll play all the way to the end, and then that one pawn will matter. So he was never really aggressive in his playing style, and yet he always won. When he played against other schools, when we used to play in high school, I think he lost like 1 game out of 50. He was really, really good. And I really wish that I could create a chess engine, because he doesn't play that much anymore, and to get him to play online is always, it's always tricky and difficult. But I do know that, for example, like here, if you go to Lichess, so right over here, I can actually find Dennis he was Frakia. Frakia was his. There we go. Now Dennis since then hasn't played much chess, and his ELO has dropped somewhat, but like I said, his playing style still remains kind of very similar, very defensive. So Frakia on Lichess has played 187 games. The coolest part about this is that I hopefully will be able to have the ability here soon, not as of now, because like I said, they're still working out the software of this board, but we will hopefully have the ability to, let's say I wanted to create the chess engine that will closely represent my friend Dennis, so I would be able to go in and download all his games in this menu here, all his games that he played, and in this case he played 187 games, and then I would be able to go back to the chess engine option here, and it says here set up a new training. Now here it says you need at least 20 games. I'm not sure what the maximum limit, but once again, if I download all his games in this menu here and select each one of his games, then I would basically be able to run through and select all the games that he played, select for him in specific, and then run this chess engine here and train it. Then once I would train it, I could just name him Dennis, and the more games that I can input in here, I guess the more precise the chess engine would be at replicating his particular playing style. So if you have a friend that you might not necessarily have played in a while, or if you're looking to play against somebody specific to where you're like preparing in a tournament setting and you know that that one particular individual has a certain way of moving and you're always losing and you want to train specifically to be able to have the upper hand, you could upload all his games, whether it's from chess.com or whether from, you can go to chess.com and find that profile and maybe load the games that way, or you can load them manually. But once you load and create that chess engine, you would have a little bit of a better representation of that particular person's playing style and be able to be prepared better for him. So that's really, really unique. I've got a couple of good friends like Larry. Larry just came a couple of days ago. We played a couple of games and he won 2 and lost 1. So I consider him a really good chess player, and if I could maybe find a way to export some of his games from chess.com to here, I could create his chess engine that would basically represent how he plays. And then if I play enough of that, I hope perhaps I could gain an upper hand against him, and then in real life maybe I would become a more fierce adversary to him. Okay. So in the training history, since this is the pre-production model that has had development, there's actually some chess engines that they have created, the Chessnut team. Some of them that are testing, some of them that more extensive chess engines, but that is really cool to see. With this chess training software, what they indicated is that you will have the option to have like 3 free training sessions with the, kind of like what I told you about. So if I had my friend Dennis, Larry, and that's really about it for me. But if you want to utilize this particular option more extensively, whether you're like training professionally and you really, really need to train a lot of different chess engines, and you're really serious about chess, there will be an option to have like a monthly subscription to this particular service, where you can pay, I think, like either $19 a month or something like that, or like $100 a year. I'm not sure if they're going to change those numbers, but it will allow us the option of basically have this. Now, because this is the pre-production model, because this is the model that they've been testing essentially, this one here, it's expiration valid indefinitely. So Chessnut VIP, that's really cool. If I get to keep this board, I will definitely utilize this option to train as many different chess engines as possible. But the reason why they're having this sort of a cap on this, as far as like monthly memberships, is that they say that sometimes chess training, it requires a lot of their servers, and it's very taxing on their servers. So they have come up with this sort of a monthly membership model. I don't know if this might change in the future, but like I said, this is the really cool. This is the really cool little option here that I really am looking forward to making subsequent videos on how this is gonna work with this board, and once I train a couple of different chess engines, I am gonna be super excited to share that with you guys. Okay, so this is the management option. Once I did download a couple of different chess engines, you can always have the option of removing them. And that's the chess engine. I'm sure they're gonna have more different chess engines coming up as they develop them. You can train your own chess engines, you can remove them, so that's a really cool thing. So we've gone through chess clock, game record, career, chess engine, the learn option. We immediately have, right now, chess.com, Lichess, and ChessKid. So ChessKid, for example, we can go here, and it brings up the ChessKid, and we can have lessons, vision, videos, depending or not, if you want your kids to be playing this, you can play on Lichess, chess.com, ChessKid. But this is really cool because then, it allows you to basically watch these videos.
Well, yeah, chess is a board game. But what about that other board game with the get out of jail free?
So that's really cool. And you can actually, the cool part about this option is that,
in jail, that's right, the whole time
yeah,
this
so
lesson is how to make it so your opponent has one bad piece that can't move. We're going to start with a classic.
It's really cool. It's really cool. I find that the one thing that I really like about this compared to maybe having like a separate tablet or an iPad or something is the integration of the board with this particular computer here is seamless. And you don't need to worry about, oh, like right now I want to go to ChessKid. And then I have to make sure that, like, if this was on a separate iPad, I would have to make sure that I would physically connect these two devices together, like my iPad, ChessKid, and the board. And then if I were to get out and go to the other one, like Lichess, I'd have to do the same thing. I'd have to make sure I go into options, make sure everything's connected. And sometimes that may not necessarily be as fluid as in this case. Because of the way that the integration here and the neural networking that's sort of the part of the design of this board, everything's very seamless. And if you go on chess.com, you can log in and you can remember your credentials and everything, and then you can play at chess.com and you play on chess.com or Lichess or ChessKid against people that don't necessarily have the boards, which is the coolest part, which is one of the things that I really liked about Chessnut in the first place, okay? Additionally, you'll have applications, as we see here, that will be preloaded, or you'll have the option of loading more applications. This is a really cool part, too. In fact, I find that this is what really is going to make this board succeed. The ability to use these third-party applications or download more applications, that will be really cool. We have the Chess PGN Master that will allow you to go through notation of different games or books. That's really cool. Chess for Android, Chess Dojo, White Pawn, some of the applications that we've seen before. And I'm really looking forward to the expansion of this. I'm looking forward to more third-party applications that will really utilize this sort of integration between the computer and the board to bring us a more seamless experience, because it will benefit both those companies and also the board in a very significant way, in my opinion. This is going to be the one thing that will make this particular board really stand out from many of the other boards. It's sort of the integration that I'm already seeing with this product, okay? So the application is really cool. Now we're moving up to the Learn. Like I said, we have ChessKid, we have Lichess. You can watch videos. You can do different exercises on this. Everything's already integrated. And although I have not tested this particular option as of yet, I'm looking forward to extensively testing these different options as far as the learning, and really kind of bring to you guys. See, look, you can even do videos here on Lichess. Looks like Levy.
Today you are going to learn
Look at
how
that.
to play the Caro-Kann defense, which happens after white plays e4.
So that's really cool.
Respond with c6.
Also, if you're going through the learning modules, whether it's chess.com, Lichess, or whatnot, if they're providing you with the reading interface and then they'll show you examples of the games, you can actually go through the games here on the board. So if you go through the notation, things will light up. That's going to be really cool in my opinion, because once again, the more that they develop because the physical characteristics of the board, in my opinion, is done. I really don't even know or expect like anything better than this, to be honest with you, because everything just worked really well. Once they kind of progress in updating this particular interface, and we'll see more things, more options, more different abilities, then I'm really looking forward to them doing that. Okay, so now that we've gone through the learn part, like I said, you can do the chess lessons here from chess.com, lessons analysis, Chessable course too. Apparently that will be optional here, that you can sign up, join for free. I just discovered that today. So that's going to be cool to see. Aim chess training, insights classroom, openings, end games practice. So once you log in, you get all the benefits of having chess.com, depending or not if your account is like a free account on chess.com or if you have a paid account, you'll be able to get more options out of it. So that's going to be really, really cool. Lichess, a lot of training, since Lichess is, more of a free program. You have all this stuff. So that's, like I said, I haven't gone through everything here specifically, but I've seen how it works on Lichess. So that's really cool to see. Okay. Now online, if you want to play online, as we've seen before, here you can play online at ChessKid. You will log in, and you will be able to have either a profile for yourself or your child or what have you. And then you'll be able to play online against other people on ChessKid. Lichess is the same way. If you go over here, you immediately have the option of choosing whatever time interval that you want. So in this case, I can choose 15 plus 10, I can choose 10 plus 0, whatever time you feel comfortable with, or you can have a custom time. So for particularly, like if I wanted to do this, the 10 and 0, see, I didn't have to wait, there we go, we're ready to go. And I didn't really have to wait on, so this would be kind of the way that we would be playing here. Yeah, seamless integration. The person that is playing right now is, they don't have a board. They're probably playing on their computer. So that's really cool to see. I'm not going to finish this game. I'm just going to allow that person to, I'm going to allow that person to go ahead and get the points. So let's see. But that's basically how it works. Like I said, it shows us that it works fine online. I'm going to go ahead and abort this game. So bring everything back. I guess if I just escape from that, then the person will get the points. But online, nothing's really different. One of the things I do have to mention is that because these boards are, the board and the computers are integrated, there's no Bluetooth connection. Everything's connected seamlessly, so you don't have that extra bit of waiting. The little bit of waiting that we saw here is just probably just going online, but we've seen that with most electronic boards. There's just a little bit of that. Well, we have to get that information transmitted. So that's that. Okay, now we have the ability to play against the bot. You can play Stockfish, you can play this LCO. I believe this is where you're going to be finding the different chess engines that we download. See, you can create those. You can have Maya, you can have Stockfish. Let's say we're doing Stockfish here with unlimited time. Now, one of the cool part about this particular, when you're playing against the bot, if we go here, there's a couple of different options that you guys will see here momentarily. Now, okay, as we see, immediately we get this sort of a screen where we see that the light pieces are actually over here and the dark pieces are actually over here. If you're playing against the bot and that doesn't suit you, now you can take the board and you can flip it the other way around if you wanted to do that. However, one of the cool part is if I just go ahead and in this mid game, now you probably wouldn't necessarily want to do this in live mode, but you can do this. You can just immediately take the pieces and set them to the other side. And then what's going to happen is, as you're doing this, the board is going to realize that, see, it switched. Did you guys see that? It realizes that you're actually switching the board. If you wanted to do it this way. Now, what I found helpful for me is that when I find, here we go, and then we got to switch them around. There we go. Do you see that square switched? Okay, so now we're playing this way. So what's happening here is that the board recognizes where the pieces are. One of the things that I found that works for me is if you're playing against random, the computer decides for you whether you play white or black. I don't have my pieces set up, and then I will set up my pieces when I actually start the game. So that way, I don't have to reset them like this. I just start them and then I set up the pieces. Like I said, when you're playing in an online mode, then that may not necessarily be fast enough because the opponent might leave. But as you guys can see here, playing against the AI is really swift and it works pretty well. And as you can see, the screen works really, there's really no delay or anything like that. It works pretty quick. Okay, now some of the options here that I want to also show you guys is you have this option to do analysis, and it will actually draw real-time analysis. This works when you're playing against the AI right over here. So every time you make a move, watch this, it'll determine whether or not that was a good move. So if you're playing for, see, like in this case, it brings us down to almost a -1. So that's really cool that when you're playing against the bot right here, you can have this analysis mode that basically will give you an insight directly while you're playing the game. Why maybe one particular move might be a little bit better than the other move, and see, it shows us an ongoing evaluation here that kind of gives us an idea as far as how we're doing. So if you start to see this dip for some reason, then we we might be getting an indication that your move might not have been as great. Now, that's really cool. So I find this to be really nice because for example, when we looked at the deep Fritz, this analysis takes up a considerable amount of your computing power. So the fact that you're getting some analysis is already really, really cool. And I'd like to be able to expand on that and see how that works in some of my games. You can also have this option to evaluate. This is really cool too. Evaluate is sort of the option that's similar to what we've seen with Chessnut. Okay, Chessnut allowed us, if you remember, the innovative way, if we touch each individual piece, it'll show us where it can go and which moves are good and which ones are not. In this case, it'll actually show us, if we pick up the piece like this, it'll actually show us which of the moves might be good and which one of the moves might be, like in this case, we've seen that a lot of the moves are actually red. So they don't necessarily recommend doing these moves. In this case, this move is yellow, so they indicate that maybe this is not a bad move. The rest of the pieces, as I've seen, well, this one here, they say that green, so just getting this out of the way probably is a good idea. And it shows you that this is okay, that one's okay, but this one's is probably better. So, so like you can have, they see the green shows us that that's probably a good move. And then yellow shows us that it's a kind of an intermediate move. So both of these options, you can turn them on or off during your game as you're playing. So let's say you got to a kind of a difficult, tricky position and you're thinking and you're like, well, it would be nice if I could get a little bit of a hint. So you can just create this evaluate, and then all of a sudden, you know, you might look through your pieces and say, well, was this really a good move? Should I go ahead and take this pawn at this spot here, or should I maybe consider moving forward? In this case, upon this evaluation, it says that moving the pawn forward might be the better move, as it shows here. And like I said, if you don't need the evaluation, you can always turn it off. And you can go from there. And you can always turn on or off the analysis, and it'll draw the whole analysis for us right over here of the entire game, in fact. Okay, so in this case, it's kind of going above the 0 line, so... yeah, really cool to see what you can do. And like I said, there will be different types of self-evaluation and hints depending on the level that you choose here. You can choose random, white, black. You can also, what you can do, which is really cool too, is if you're in this bot match option, you can do a board editor. In this case, I want to, let's say, try to understand where would the computer or the AI believe is the best continuation after a particular opening, or a particular position. Once again, I want to kind of reiterate that the Chessnut Air pieces will work the same way here. As you guys can see, there's really no issues. It's very quick, in fact, that there's no delay or lag. So I really like the fact that the pieces are being recognized very quickly on this board, as you see here. That is really cool, in my opinion, that you really don't have any issues with that. Set up all the pieces where you want, and then you can continue from that particular position against the AI. You can set up the ELO that you want. You can select which one you're going to be playing as light or dark. Set up your time control and go from there. So that's really cool. You can play chess 960, you can play standard. So yeah, that's about it that I wanted to show you guys as far as the sort of the AI as of now, as of the pre-production model. There's a lot of potential in this. I'm really excited about this chess engine training thing because I can't wait to actually fully utilize this and probably make a separate video, a shorter video, where I will show you how I will train the chess engine from start to finish by getting the games from offline or maybe importing the game somehow onto the system and kind of going from there. I also really like the career mode here just because you get these sort of level, and I'm sort of a nerd for these level upgrades and everything. I have not received any badges or trophies in this particular thing, but I look forward, if they're gonna really expand on this career mode, that I would like to be able to receive some kind of badges, trophies, that type of thing, little stickers, something to give an indication that, you know, I've reached a certain level. As of now, it just shows you this like level 3 and kind of going from there. I really like the learning option. I really also like just how quickly the integration of these things, like everything pops up so quick. There's no waiting. Everything just sort of works, and that's what I really like about this board. Although this is a little bit of an awkward camera angle, I wanted to kind of show you guys what I've been doing and why I feel like ergonomically the Chessnut EVO is going to be a more successful board than a lot of the other electronic boards that we've seen. Here's our Chessnut Chessnut Air board. Okay, Chessnut Air board is really nice, and I've shown this before. The Chessnut Air board is made really solidly. It doesn't move around. I can place it on my lap and I can play the games here. However, I still need to find a spot for my cell phone or my tablet. So I can't readily, like, you can get one of the phone stands, but you can't really put a phone stand on a soft chair, like, or on a soft sofa like this. So you end up just putting it down sort of like this and then kind of doing it this way. Then there's always the issue of, especially if it takes time, like you're playing online or something, sometimes what would happen is I might not necessarily have my phone in view, or it might be flipped this way or something. And what might happen is that if for some reason there are any connection issues or glitches or something to where perhaps your phone has lost connection with the board, which I have not seen with the Chessnut Air, but I have seen with some of the other electronic boards that I've tested. There is time maybe that somehow maybe the battery of the electronic board was low, or maybe the battery on your cell phone was low, or something happened, or maybe there was a glitch on your cell phone because you haven't updated the software on your cell phone, or whatever. Or you received a text message and somehow you caused the application to be moved to the background, and then maybe by doing that it has lost the connection with the board. What have you? You might not even have done anything, and still all of a sudden you're sitting there and you're thinking that your opponent is thinking about making their moves. You have a timed game, and it ended up to where actually your opponent has made the move already a few minutes ago, and you're sitting there waiting for them to make a move, and you go back and refer to your cell phone, and you're like, oh, what's going on? Did I lose the connection? Like I said, it hasn't happened with the Chessnut Air because the connection here is pretty good, but what I'm trying to get to is that because your cell phone is not immediately directly linked up and connected to your board, it's not always in your plain sight, and then sometimes you're always worried, well, is it still connected? Or your phone might go to sleep, that which happened to me many times, and I wasn't even aware of that. And then if it sleeps and it drops the connection, then you're kind of sitting there wondering what's happening. This is still a nice board to keep on your lap. However, because of the phone integration issue, it's not ideal. What I found though is that, and I've been doing this for the remaining, for half a week now, is that I find really cool to just be able to take this whole board and just set it on my lap. Like I said, it's not really heavy. It doesn't get heated up on the underside, but I can set it on my lap and it's nice and sturdy. And I can play that way. I actually really like this option because sometimes you may not have a table to put it on. Sometimes you just want to have a more relaxed sort of position where you're just kind of laid back like this. And that's what I've been doing. I've been playing the ELO here, and I've been playing it like this, and I really like it. I've been playing a lot of games this way, and it's just, the screen is right there. It's nice and bright. You can adjust the brightness of the screen. If you're in a dark environment and you don't want the screen to be too bright, you can adjust it to your comfort level of your eyes and kind of go from there. But this is why I believe ergonomically that the Chessnut EVO will be successful, is because not only is it, you don't have to look for your cell phone, you don't have to make sure your cell phone is charged, you don't have to look around for it, you don't have to bother yourself about the possible connection drops or anything like that. It's just there, and it works, and you can always save the game, but it's, like I said, ergonomically, this is really a good option. So that's definitely something that I enjoy about, I just lost some points by quitting, but whatever. That is something that I enjoy from the standpoint of having that screen here. It's not a very heavy board. It works really well. The option of switching the pieces works really nicely too. And but you can always turn the board if you don't necessarily, like if you started the game and I found that I need to go ahead and turn the board around so I can play as light side, I can just go ahead and do that. Now, if some of you guys might be thinking, is the screen flippable? Like, can you just rotate the screen? I have not at this time had the option to flip the screen. It is, I don't know, is it likely that you'll be able to flip the screen one way or another? Maybe. I would assume that it would make sense if the screen was flippable. But to be honest with you, it doesn't bother me. Right now that I've been playing in the career mode, I set up my pieces to where the screen is the right side, but sometimes I'll flip and it doesn't really bother me one way or another. It doesn't change your game really. You still see the screen and everything just kind of works. Like I said before, I'm going to be able to do subsequent videos as they're updating the software and getting more different options available for us through their updates and everything. I'll be sure to make subsequent videos where I'll show you some of those things. I will make probably a separate video for the chess training. That's going to be really cool to see. Before I got this board, my thought process was, well, you're kind of getting an integration of sort of an iPad or a cell phone with what may look like more or less like the Chessnut Air, but there's just so much more to it. And it, like I said, the way that everything works very quickly, there's so much potential to this to be just an overall very successful board. With the updates, the software updates that we're going to have, I feel like there's just going to be so much room to really expand and make this a really wonderful product for a lot of people to play on. And the most important thing is, like I said, I review a lot of different chess boards, a lot of electronic regular chess boards. The thing about electronic boards is that some of them share very similar characteristics. You know, you review the chestnut, you review the chess up, you review the square off. I mean, yes, some of the pieces move by themselves like we've seen in our previous video, so that's kind of nifty. But for somebody like me who is familiar with a lot of these boards, it's hard to get somebody like me excited about things as far as electronic chess boards. And although I review them all, I may only have a certain amount of time during the day to be able to test some of these boards out. And I have to say that the Chessnut EVO, I've been testing it out and I really enjoy using it. I just enjoy using it. I like the ability to see the pieces move on the square off swap, but this is ergonomic and it's user friendly, and it's not only innovative in a sense that you get a separate computer here, but it's just it draws you in. It makes you want to use the board. That's not something that we can say about every product. Is like, ever since I've had this board, I've played a lot of games and there's no glitches on it. It works really well. It works swift. It works fast, and it's a pleasure to use. So like I said, I look forward to using this board more. I look forward to reviewing some of the other aspects that they've become available to us. And I look forward to hearing your all's comments and hearing your all's feedback on this. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to drop a link below for where you can purchase the board, or you can purchase the board on Kickstarter right now. Like I said, the biggest advantage to getting it on Kickstarter early, a couple of months before it reaches production mainline, is that you'll be able to get it, you'll be able to get it at a cheaper price than it will be when it comes out. So be sure to leave a like for this video, and hopefully you guys have learned something cool and new. And if you did, be sure, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and comment. And I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Bye-bye.